बात करनी मुझे मुश्किल कभी ऐसी तो न थी, जैसी अब है तेरी महफिल कभी ऐसी तो न थी. See, what happens is that when you want to say so much, you can hardly speak, and that is my condition right now. Good evening to all of you. Justice Bhushan Ramakrishna Gawai, Honorable Chief Justice of India, my dear sister and brother judges of the Supreme Court, Shri R. Venkata Ramani, the learned Attorney General of India, Shri Tushar Mehta, the learned Solicitor General of India, Mr. Vikas Singh, President of the Supreme Court Bar Association, Mr. Rahul Kaushik, Vice President of SCBA, Mrs. Pragya Baghel, the Secretary of SCBA, and all the office bearers of SCBA, Mr. Vipin Nair, Mr. Amit Sharma, Mr. Nikhil Jain, and all the office bearers of SCORA. My former colleague from the Supreme Court, Justice Rastogi, is here. Justice Shankar from Delhi High Court is here. Members of Registry, members of the Bar Association, and all the lawyers present here, and my family members. As I look back and review my journey, one thing I'm very confident, and I do this, of course, with the wisdom of hindsight, wisdom and advantage of hindsight. I can safely say that I took a right decision of choosing law as a career and becoming a lawyer, because there is no other profession in the world which keeps you so close to the society. This is the profession where you are always, the trials and tribulations of men and women in this country. And then it is also very intellectually stimulating, and it gives you a chance to make a positive contribution to the society. So therefore, today, I first of all must pay my deepest gratitude to my father and mother, who made great sacrifices in raising their children in Allahabad, for the simple reason that in the first instance it was not easy for them to come to Allahabad. See, we were a family, we were staying in a small cantonment hill town called Lansdowne. My father was a lawyer, my mother was a school teacher in Government Girls High School. And then my father decided to go to Allahabad to practice before the High Court. And there were no immediate prospects for this family to go to Allahabad. But then we did, and then hangs a tale. What happened was that while we were with our mother, I was at about 6.5 years of age. My elder brother was 1.5 years senior to me. And we were in Dehradun being the maternal home of my mother. So it was winters. My mother took his children, both of us, to watch an English film called Hatari. I'm sure most of you have seen this film. It has got John Wayne and African jungles and catching of rhinoceros. So it was great fun, the movie. But by the time we came out of the cinema hall, it was already dark, being winters. And we had to cross the busy Rajpur road of Dehradun, which used to be busy even at that time. And the two of us just refused to cross the road because both of us were terrified by seeing so many motor cars and vehicles. You see, we were from Lansdowne. We had not seen so many cars in our life. So we just hung close to our mother, to her great embarrassment, and we were howling. So somehow we must have crossed the road at some point of time. But then my mother made a resolution that day, and she decided that the family has to leave Lansdowne. And after a few months, we went to Allahabad. My mother was transferred to Government Girls High School as a teacher in Allahabad. I got admission in St. Joseph. My brother was to follow a year later. And so the journey started, our life started in Allahabad. My younger brother, who's in films, as you know, never loses an opportunity to tell the rest of the members of the family that after all, it was a film and John Wayne which brought us to Allahabad and perhaps changed the course of our life. So now we were in Allahabad, and those of you who have been to Allahabad know that Allahabad has a distinct character. You know, there were two great institutions there, Allahabad University and Allahabad High Court. And for some reason, the city has also attracted a lot of intellectuals, writers, poets, who have made Allahabad their home. So I was very fortunate to be in Allahabad when Allahabad had retained it still had its old world charm. Like in Allahabad University, there were many study clubs. I joined a club called Elysium, and we had discussions. We used to call a senior advocate or professor or a judge who used to deliver lecture every Saturday. And then there was a film club in Allahabad, which opened world cinema to us. It was there that we saw the film of Bergman and Kurosawa and Vittorio De Sica and our own great Satyajit Ray. But now, in any case, we were moving ahead. And in between, I was sent to study in a boarding school in Lucknow called UP Sainik School, where perhaps I spent the best years of my life as a student, and I made lifelong friends. One of them is here today in the audience. And later, the university education, first Allahabad and then JNU, it taught me to be humble. It was my university education which showed me how ignorant I was. There was so much to learn. And it is in the university which first stimulates you intellectually. It is in the university that a student really starts using what is called his intellect. I was also very fortunate to have dedicated and excellent teachers, both in my school and in my university. Because teachers are very important. Not just because what they teach or how they teach you, but it is a teacher who first whets your desire to know more. It's a teacher who takes you to the path of learning and knowledge. So it was a teacher, if whatever I have achieved, great part of it goes to my teachers. So I never planned a career in law. In fact, after doing my master's, as the president of the Bar Association has just now said, I got admission in Syracuse in an MPhil program, and but there was no immediate scholarship, so I needed money, and my father was not very keen because he wanted me to become a lawyer. He was a High Court judge by that time, and I was trying to persuade him, and there were things I had not yet finalized when a tragedy struck. My father passed away, and then the entire world changed for me. I knew I had to be in Allahabad and I had to take up law. But very soon I realized that this is the only reason why I took up law, apart from other compulsions, was that I was very sure that this is one profession which will keep me awake to the problems of people. And how it was excellent, it was very true. It actually did that. No other profession will take you so close to people as law would. As all young lawyers will know, it is never easy for a young lawyer, and so it was with me. Those who have seen Allahabad High Court must have seen the long corridors of Allahabad High Court. There were times when I used to walk the corridors of Allahabad High Court briefless, but I had hope and I had patience. In fact, Alexander Dumas in his book Count of Monte Cristo says that the entire wisdom of the world can be reduced to two words: wait and hope. So I was patient, and gradually cases started coming in, and I developed a reasonably good practice to sustain me and my family. In Allahabad, I had a neighbor who was a retired High Court judge, and I'm sure all of you in the audience must be familiar with his name. He was Justice Jagmohan Lal Sinha. the judge who gave his verdict in the Rajnarayan petition, which unseated Mrs. Indira Gandhi, the then Prime Minister of India. So valuable advice came from this gentle soul whenever I sought these advice. It was so good. And I have never seen any person getting the kind of respect that Justice Sinha got from ordinary men and women in Allahabad. One day, I asked him, I didn't ask him actually, it was my friend who was taking his interview. He asked him, "Sir, don't you think you were slightly harsh to Mrs. Gandhi?" And Justice Sinha replied, "No, I was not harsh. But yes, if anything was harsh, perhaps it was the law. The law perhaps was harsh." Later, when the new state of Uttarakhand was created in November 2000, some of us lawyers, we decided to go and see for ourselves how the new High Court functions on the first day. So a group of lawyers, including me, went to Nainital. Though by that time I had decided that sooner or later I'll shift my practice to Nainital, but immediately I had no plans. But when I went there, I was offered the post of Chief Standing Counsel, which I accepted, and then immediately I had to shift to Nainital. Fortunately, I also got a teaching assignment to give the law input in the Administrative Training Institute, which used to still train the civil servants in Uttarakhand. And that then began my journey as a lawyer for another 8 years, where I used to teach and I used to take law classes. See, Nainital High Court was much smaller than Allahabad High Court. Allahabad High Court is a much bigger High Court. It's the biggest High Court. Even in that time and now, it's the biggest High Court in the country. But what was different for me in going to Nainital at that time was that in Allahabad I was getting the run-of-the-mill cases like all young lawyers get in rent control and pure civil matters and service matters. Here I was defending the main cases for the government. Every week the policies of the government were under challenge: excise policy, mines policy, forest, tourism. The only difficulty was that in Nainital there were no stalwarts, there were no senior advocates whom you can go and say, "Bhai, kya karna hai?" So the only alternative was to go to the books and find solution for yourself, which I did. Luckily, as I told you, I was teaching in ATI, and ATI had an excellent library and a large section on law itself, where I was also given a very comfortable and well-heated room, because that's very important in Nainital. And that library became my second home, where I prepared my lecture and also litigated for the state. Then I became a judge of Uttarakhand High Court in November 2008, and then I realized that now the roles have changed. You see, as a lawyer, your concern is to do your best as a lawyer. The concern of a judge is not to go wrong. At least initially for the judge, कुछ गलती ना हो जाए.